Imagine a woman who spends her days dissecting Hannah Arendt's philosophy in a sterile lab, and then at nightfall transforms into a hybrid creature, somewhere between a beetle and high fashion. This is Danielle Delcour's bold vision for Spring-Summer 2025, a show that begins in clinical silence and ends with a divine appearance by Naomi Campbell. I'm going to explain why this collection, titled The Scientist, marks a major turning point and redefines the very identity of the house. Hi everyone. I'm so glad to be back to debrief this Milan show that literally captivated the entire industry. This season, Danielle Delcour proves he isn't just a gifted designer, he's a true author, a singular voice in a Milanese landscape that can sometimes be a bit too cautious. His collection is a profound intellectual journey. His muse, a studious, meticulous woman, obsessed with the architecture of clothing, who slips Susan Sontag books into her handbags. You can feel a new maturity here, a desire to give a thinking soul to every silhouette, and to confront the rigor of science with the poetry of fashion. The first part of the show plunges us into an almost surgical atmosphere, a tribute to precision. What strikes you is the absolute rigor of the cuts, flirting with 90s minimalism but infused with contemporary technicality. The designer imagined white organza trench coats of incredible lightness and layering pieces that evoke laboratory coats, but reinvented with total luxury. This is where Delcour's great strength lies this season, his strategic clarity. He has finally found the right balance between wearable and spectacular. In a market where brands are desperately trying to balance creativity with commercial appeal, he finally understands where to take his client for her everyday life without sacrificing his fantastical identity. The tailoring is sharp with millimeter precision, special mention to the tapered trousers and cropped leather jackets that structure the body with a new sense of authority. There's a kind of cold elegance, almost intimidating but terribly desirable. But as the presentation moves forward, the narrative shifts and the tension rises. The scientist leaves her lab to become a mysterious, nocturnal creature. We find Delcour's signature themes again, biology and the world of insects. The technical work here is simply insane. The designer succeeds in creating silhouettes that mimic the iridescence of a beetle or the lethal elegance of a praying mantis, thanks to a mastery of pleating that very few houses still possess today. We are projected into a sort of organic science fiction where the clothes seem literally alive, animated by the model's movements. It's a celebration of feminine metamorphosis. The climax is, of course, the finale with Naomi Campbell, floating in a white sheath dress with pinpoint pleating. It's the perfect balance between protective structure and the absolute extraordinary. Delcour doesn't just dress a woman, he creates a glass armor for her. Yet, looking at the collection with a more critical eye, it's not without its flaws. While the narrative is superb, it sometimes borders on being too literal. The transition from white lab coats to insect creatures is visually magnificent, but it's so radical that it can feel abrupt within a ready-to-wear collection. You have to wonder if the collection lacks a bit of connective tissue, a middle phase to fluidize that passage from the laboratory to nocturnal life. Furthermore, although the tailoring is technically flawless, I would have liked to see a bit more warmth or softness in some of the day pieces. We're looking at a very intellectual, very cold proposition, which might feel a bit distant for an audience not already won over by the brand's conceptual universe. It's fashion that requires an effort to understand, which is both its greatest quality and its limit. In summary, Delcour has found his stride with an ultra-balanced collection that confirms his place among Milan's greats. Personally, I love this scientific edge and the narrative risk-taking, but what about you? Does this mix of rigor and fantasy win you over, or do you find it too conceptual? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'll be reading them closely. Thank you so much for listening and for your constant support of the channel. I'll leave you now to enjoy the full runway with the music to truly soak in this unique atmosphere. Thanks again and enjoy the rest of the show.